having the code in my phone and I'm using it in the laptop. So just wait a second, I'm uploading it.
Okay, sure, no problem. Now wait for a moment. Go upwards. Okay, go a bit down. Okay, so now tell me, in the last code that you have compiled and the last circuit that you have designed, is there any difference that you have noticed?
No, sir.
Mm, I think there was some misconfiguration in the LCD part. Can you please share the old circuit once again? Hello? Is there a problem, guys?
No, sir.
Please share your screen and show me the earlier circuit that was not working. Okay, zoom into the LCD part. Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, please zoom into the LCD part.
Okay.
See, you have see VSS, VDD, and VEE. These three pins have special usage, right? What VSS does, VSS is the contrast adjustment. Listen to me carefully. Am I audible, guys? Am I
Yes, sir. Yes,
audible?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Clearly audible.
Okay. Thank you. See, VSS is for contrast adjustment of the display. The more you give power to VSS, the display contrast will raise. VDD is for the power supply and VEE is for the ground. So you have to be very careful while connecting these three pins because these are the key source of power for that LCD display. In your real life as well, if you configure an LCD display to show some message with any microcontroller, AVR, Atmega, whatever, you have to be careful about these three pins. All the pins have their significant usage, but these three pins are the key pins. So you have connected VSS probably to the ground and you forgot to connect VDD and you also forgot to connect VE. So that's why your LCD didn't work. Maybe this is the reason that your circuit wasn't showing up anything. But anyway, now it shows. Let us switch to a bit more complex circuit that is a bit more related to your project. I'll be sharing my screen now. So please turn it off. Thank you. Okay. Are you able to see my screen? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Fine. See, what we have here, we have the microcontroller and the same connection configuration with the LCD. That means port 2 is there directly to the data bus of that LCD. You see here, we have port 2. And we have port 1.0, 1.1 and 1.3 connected to the RSRWEN. We have VDD connected to the power, we have VE connected to the ground. So this is the basic LCD circuit that I have described to you last day, and you have also created the same. Now we have a new component here, that is the ADC, the analog to digital converter 0804. Now what does this thing do? It actually takes some analog data, analog voltage, simple DC voltage in one of its pins. There are two input pins, Vin minus and Vin plus. In this circuit, I am feeding some analog data to the Vin plus pin and I am putting the Vin minus pin to the ground. We'll see in the circuit, I will share it. And here I am
fetching the analog data from LM35, that is a temperature monitoring IC. It has 3 pins, pin 1 for power, pin 3 for ground, and pin 2, which will give us the output of the current ambient temperature in millivolts. So for 1 degree Celsius, you will get 1 millivolt as an output for this particular IC. And similarly, for 100 degrees Celsius, you will get 1 volt as an output. Am I clear?
So please, can you repeat?
Fine. From where do you want me to repeat?
So the last part, from which what will be the output?
Okay. For LM35, there are a vast output range. So in our test case, it will we will consider the output from 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. And for 0 degrees Celsius, this will give an output to 0 volt. For 100 degrees Celsius, this will give an output to 1 volt. And for all the temperature gradients in between, we will get 0.1 volt, that is 1 millivolt output from this particular IC. I mean, for increase of every 1 degree Celsius temperature, it will increase its output to 1 millivolt. I mean, it will start from 1 millivolt, then 2, then 3 for each degree Celsius. So if I put it 30 degrees Celsius there in the simulator, it will give us output as 30 millivolt. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are considering the output of this IC into the Vin plus, that is the pin 6 of the ADC 0804. And as an output of the ADC, we are having an 8-bit decimal number. It's from DB0 to DB7. The pins are 11 to 17 in reverse order. I mean, pin 18 will give you the least significant bit, whereas pin 11 will give you the most significant bit. So here is our configuration, how you see it. We have connected the 8 data lines, DB0 to DB7, port 18 to pin 18 to pin 11 of this A to D converter into the port 3 of our microcontroller. See here, we have port 3.0 connected to the DB0 and port 3.7 connected to DB7, and all the pins in between are connected sequentially. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Fine.
Yes,
And
sir.
what about these pins? There are other control pins as well for this microcontroller, I mean for this A to D converter. We have a clock pin. We have actually a couple of clock pins here, and this particular A to D converter has an internal clock. For every digital device to work, you know that we need a time pulse. For every microcontroller, microprocessor, A to D converter, adder, subtractor, whatever, we need a clock pulse, right? Without a clock pulse, can any digital device work? Is there any digital device that can work without a clock pulse? Guys,
No, sir.
are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure? Are you sure? I don't think so.
As we have studied till now, all the counters,
Mhm.
registers, converters.
But only the counters, registers, converters are the only digital device, or there are other digital devices as well? You have heard
Other,
about AND or NOT gates,
yes, sir.
the basic gates.
Yes, sir.
So do they require any type of clock pulse to work? Have you
So they
given any
require
clock pulse
voltage.
to any? Yeah, but have you given any clock pulse to any AND gate anytime in your life?
No, sir.
Those things do not require any clock pulse. So as long as any operation is considered, the clock pulse is not required. But as soon as a certain group of operations, a sequential operation is required, then we need a clock pulse to control the sequence. For time 1, we will do one part. For time 2, we will do the second part. So that's why, for those reasons, we need a clock pulse. When a sequential digital job is required, we need a clock pulse. So for ADC as well, there is a sequential job required, because in the back end, we all know that there are converters, there are logics, something I can remember, some ladder logic was there. R2 to R ladder network was there to convert any value from analog to digital or digital to analog. So for that purpose, we need a clock pulse, and this IC has an internal clock pulse. To activate that internal clock, we need to put a 10K resistance in between the pins 19 and pin 4. Those are the clock in and clock out pins of that ADC 0804 IC, and we have put a 10K resistor there. And also we have to bias the pin 4, that is the clock in pin, with a 150 picofarad capacitor to the ground. This is required to reject the unnecessary ripples of the clock. This capacitor will work as a ripple filter, and it will pull down all the unnecessary AC ripples that can affect the internal clock calculation of this IC. Are you clear? Now you can ask what is AC ripples. That's fine. If you are not aware of AC ripples, I can explain. Let me know.
Yes, sir, we are aware.
Fine. So this part is clear, and now we have some other pins like VREF by 2, reference voltage by 2. This pin will let the A to D converter know that by which range we are intended to operate. So how is that? Say, you remember you have a digital multimeter. For measuring any voltage, you have to select a range first. Unless this is an auto ranging multimeter, you have to select a range first, and within that range you can measure the voltage. If the measured voltage is beyond that range, it will show overload, or otherwise it will show 0 if it is below that range. So here also we have to tell the ADC that okay, at this point of time we are going to measure this range of analog voltage. And how do we prepare the ADC to be come out of that particular bandwidth? We put V reference by 2 into pin 9. That means we actually bias the pin 9 to the range of voltage, which is exactly half to the voltage we are going to put in V in plus at the top point of our measurement. Say for this particular example, we are going to measure 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. Fine? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are going to measure 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius in this circuit. That will eventually give us output as what we have seen in this IC, this LM35. For 0 degrees Celsius, it will give us 0 volt, and for 100 degrees Celsius, this will give us 1 volt. So for each 1 degree Celsius in between, we will get 10 millivolts.
Sir, for 100 degrees Celsius, it will give 1 volt.
1 volt.
Sir, for
Is there any
0,
doubt?
it is 0, and for
Yeah,
100,
for 0 it is 0 volt, and for 100 degrees Celsius this is 1 volt, and in between we have 100 gradients for all gradient, it will give us 10 millivolt uprise from
Okay, sir.
0 to 0.1 to 0.2.
Okay, sir. Okay,
Like
sir.
this.
Clear.
we will-
Clear.
Okay. So I guess on the earlier I have told you 1 millivolt, right? That was confusing for you. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah. I
sir. 1
remember.
millivolt.
I told you 1 millivolt. That was my mistake. It's 10 millivolts actually. It's easy. 0 to 100 and 0 to 1. So you get a 1 volt uprise for every 100 degrees Celsius here in this IC.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So this is our range here, 0 volt to 1 volt, and we have an output of 8 bit against this range. Fine. So what is the number of decimal digits in an 8-bit sequence? How many decimal digits do we have in an 8-bit sequence?
0 to 9.
In an 8-bit sequence. I mean 00 to FF.
Yes, sir.
How many numbers are there?
0 to 15.
0 to 15 is the number of bits, but what's the combination? I mean, what's the range of numbers we have in decimal? 0 to 255, isn't it? FF means 255,
Yes, sir.
if I'm not wrong. Done?
Done, sir.
Okay. So here we have for 1 volt, we have resolution of 255 outputs, right? And to decide, I mean to make the ADC 0804 understand that we are going to range the measurement from 0 to 1 volt, I mean within 1 volt gap, we have to put the reference voltage Vref by 2 as just 0.5 here. It's simple. The range we are varying the input in between, we have to just cut that range by 2 and put it in Vref by 2. In ideal case. In practical case, you may have to change a potentiometer. You have to calibrate it. It goes somewhere between 0.4 to 0.9. I can't remember, but in ideal case, a Vref by 2 is as simple as the total voltage that we are going to measure by 2. Now tell me one thing, just to make sure we are on the same page. Say we are going to measure 0 volt to 10 volt. Then what would be the Vref by 2?
It's 5.
And what about 1 volt to 11 volt? This is simple. Just subtract the 2 and get, and by the result, I mean divide the result by 2. It's simple.
It
11
is again
minus 1
5.
by 2, it's again 5.
5.
You have to deal with the range, not the values, but the range. 1 to 10, 1 to 11, 2 to 12, just like that. Here we are dealing with 0 to 1. So that's why we have given there 0.5 volt. Okay, and there are 4 control pins for this particular IC. You can see here. This is chip select bar. You ground this pin, you ground this chip select, this whole chip will be activated. If you pull this chip select to power, this chip will be turned off. This is chip select bar, CS bar. We have RD bar, we have WR bar, which is read bar and write bar. And we have interrupt bar. This, out of these pins, we have some input and output pins. Those are configured in our code. You will see while I will discuss about the code itself. But right now, just understand that RD bar and W bar are for commands that intimate this particular IC to read the data, and INTR bar is an output pin that enables the microcontroller to know that the data is currently ready to be read. That means as soon as the data is ready in its output, in the output of this ADC, the INTR bar will get low. Now we will move to the microcontroller and to which pins we have connected it. See, in port 1, the first 3 pins were for the LCD. Here also they are for the LCD, and I have connected pin 4, 5 and 6. That is port 1.3, 1.4 and 1.5 to this ADC, and the connection is RD, WR and INTR. RD is connected to 1.3, WR is connected to 1.4 and INTR is connected to 1.5. And in our code, if we see, we will send some control signals through RD and WR, and then we will wait for the INTR bar to go high. And as soon as the INTR bar will go high, we will read the data from port 3. Port 3 is connected to the data bus of the ADC. So this is the major part of the circuit, and for debugging purpose, I have created an LED array. See here, I have connected 8 individual LEDs. This is the lower nibble and this is the upper nibble. D4 to D7 is the upper nibble, and D0 to D3 are the lower nibble that is connected to port 0. And these are reverse biased. These are forward biased with pulled up sequence. That means these LEDs are pulled up with power rail. See, this is my power rail, and I have connected the power rail to the anode of the ADC, anode of the LED, and the cathode of the LED is connected to the port 0. Now just quick question. Let me know, when will this LED glow? Take any one of the LED and let me know when will this LED glow. Answer, anyone?
In the case of reverse bias,
Yeah, but let me know how can I say I want to turn on the LED D7, this one. So which pin do I have to change and what do I need to pass to that pin? To which pin is this LED connected?
0.7.
Okay. And how is this LED connected? This LED is already getting power from the power rail. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Your yes sir seems somehow confused. Please let me know if you have any confusion.
Sir, where is the power rail?
You have to ask me that question first. See, this is the power rail. I have connected the power here. I just take this a bit higher. Let me drag it. See, this is the power rail I have connected. You can get 5 volts here. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this is the power rail and I have connected all these LEDs parallel to that power rail. I mean, parallel, all these LEDs are connected to that power rail. And each of the LEDs are dropped in one of the pins of port 0. So what I have to do to pin 0.7 to make this LED glow? Simple question. Okay, tell me. If I make this pin high, if I make P 0.7 high, will this LED glow?
No, sir.
Why? You are right. Tell me why.
So because it is in reverse bias. Means the
Is it
negative
actually
terminal.
biased? Let me know first. Is it actually biased? If you make this pin high, we have 5 volt in this pin, and also 5 volt here, because I have connected this to 5 volts. So also 5 volt here. So will the LED be biased at all? Let me know this first. You have an electric component and you have the same voltage within the both sides of it. So
No,
is it
sir.
biased?
No, sir.
Not
No, sir.
biased.
Because there is no potential difference in it.
Exactly. So in order to create a potential difference, we have to make this pin low. The
Low.
P 0.7, as soon as the pin P 0.7 gets low, this LED starts glowing. That's the simple answer that I was asking for. Anyway, so in our circuit, this is for only a debug part. We will check the value of the output of the ADC in its binary format. So every LED, when it goes down, I mean, when it doesn't glow, we will consider the corresponding pin to be high. And when the LED is glowing, we will consider the corresponding pin to be low. So this is an 8-bit data. We have 8 bits here, and these LEDs resemble the reciprocal of each of the bits. Whenever LEDs are low, we will consider it high. So this is our circuit. Now let's go to the program. There is nothing else in the circuit. All the rest of the things are mostly the ground connection. Some voltmeters I have put to show you the values of the current instantaneous voltage. This is the ground rail for all the ground connections. You see I have grounded here VEE, I have grounded the LM35 IC, I have grounded the CS bar I have grounded through here. The V in minus I have grounded here. All these pins are for grounding purpose. Fine. And this is the power rail, as I have already talked to you. This is the 5-volt power rail, and I have biased the IC, the LEDs, the AD converter. This is the pin number 20 is the VCC for AD0804. That is also connected here, and also the LCD. The VDD pin of the LCD is connected here, and we are using the default contrast. If you do not connect the VSS to any power line, it will work on the default contrast. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Fine. So sorry. Okay. So here we have the code. See. So what is connected to port 2? The same circuit that you have created. What is connected to port 2? Okay. Let me tell you one thing. While creating the file, creating the source code, you have to always keep in the back of your mind that in which port, which device you have connected. Because not every time you will go back to the circuit, check the ports, yeah, I have connected this to this. You won't have that much of time to go back to the circuit every time and check the ports. In port 2, we have connected the data bus of the LCD. In port 3, we have connected the data bus of the A to D converter. In port 0, we have connected the LED array. In port 1, first 3 pins, we have connected the control bus of the LCD, and the rest of the 3 pins are connected to the control bus of the AD0804. So keep that in mind. So in our source code, you see we have put 00 hex to port 2. That means to clear out any signal that is currently in the bus of the LCD. We have put port 0 to 0FFX. That means all the pins of port 0 will be high, so that all the LEDs will be turned off at the initial stage of the program. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And to port 3, we have also sent 0FF hex just to make all the pins of port 3 high, so that any changes can be read accordingly. Who will change the readings of port 3? Which is connected to port 3? Tell me. Which device is connected to port 3?
LCD.
No. LCD is connected to port 2.
A to D converter.
Yes, exactly. So the AD converter will feed the data to port 3. That means port 3 is an input bus. This is an input port here. P0 is an output port. P2 is also an output port. Fine. There is a convention to make the input ports high and the output ports low, but right now we are deviating from the convention for the sake of this particular circuit. Anyway, so we will display some message to the LCD. Okay, tell me one thing. You have gone through the code that I have provided to you, right? The LCD code, the basic
Yes.
LCD code.
Yes, sir,
Any
but,
confusion?
sir, I could not understand anything.
Oh wow, that's great. Okay, so to understand that in a better way, you have to first check out in Google for 16x2 LCD display. There are a number of data sheets available. You have to generously study those things, because that's a huge component and it has a huge number of functions, and it's a bit time taking to teach you all of the things. But anyway,
Sir,
for the
I'm
sake
not
of this,
getting.
yeah, tell me.
Sir, I'm not getting, sir.
If you want to learn the LCD configuration thing, you have to go through Google. You have to search for 16x2 LCD, and there is a huge number of operations available over the internet, and you can learn from there. But for the sake of this particular circuit, I am going to teach you little bit of things, little bit of configuration and display things for this LCD. This is the part of the program where we are configuring and putting something to display through the LCD. This is the configure display subroutine. The configure display subroutine actually loads the configuration bits. Here are the configuration bits we have for the LCD. These configuration bits actually control how a data is to be displayed in the LCD. You have seen there are several type of displays. Say in your watch, in your digital watch, there is a constant display that is showing the current time, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now just remember the buses, those have LCD displays over it. I mean, that is actually illuminated LED display, but let's consider that as a dot matrix display. Those displays, they scroll, right? Start from the left, start from the right, they scroll to the left and carry on the text. You remember the scrolling display over the buses? In stations as well, sometimes there are scrolling displays, right?
Yes, sir.
There are some displays, those flash, I mean blink. In stations, sometimes there are some displays, those blink. Have you seen any such display that blinks?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so there are different types of displays. I mean, there are different fashions for a display to be shown. We control that fashion through these configuration bits. These are configuration bits which are available in the manual of that particular display. In the data sheet of that particular display, we have just pulled few configuration bits from there to make our display work. Fine. And this is the configuration display subroutine that will eventually push these configuration bits into that display. See how we call these configuration display subroutines. We have put hashconf. Where is hashconf? Here. We have put this set of bytes one by one into our data pointer, right? So you are asking me the last day in WhatsApp why we are putting our data pointer to conf, something like that. This is why we are putting the display configuration bytes one by one into our data pointer. And what we are doing, we are just taking the value from here, taking these bytes from here to our accumulator, and then increasing the data pointer one by one just to get these values one by one, and putting all those stops unless we hit a 0FF hex. We are just taking these things one by one, and unless we are hitting 0FF hex, see this value is taken. We have taken this here. We have increased data pointer to 1, and we are jumping to this location. This is here. As long as we are not getting this, we have jumped here, and here we are calling this function. This function sends some data bits to the control signals of that LCD. See, these are the control pins 1, 0, 1, 1 and 1, 2. We are clearing 1, 0. We are clearing 1, 1. We are setting 1, 2. We are waiting for 2 clock cycles and then clearing 1, 2 again. This sequence, you have to hard code this sequence, because this is the specific writing sequence for this LCD to let the LCD understand that we are going to send some command, not data. These things are configuration commands. We are sending these configuration commands to the port 2 from accumulator by sending these signals to the configuration pins. See, two types of data we need to supply to the LCD. One is the configuration data and one is the data to be displayed. So this is the configuration data we have here. This configuration data is pushed to the LCD by this function. Rather, this set of functions, the confdisp function, the comd function and the common write function. Once this thing is done, our LCD is ready to display data. Very, very important part. Keep that in mind. Once this whole thing is done, our LCD is ready to display our data. Now we call the display function. See here. First we called the confdisp function. The confdisp function actually consists of these three subroutines: confdisp, comd and common write. These three subroutines are actually called one by one as soon as we call the confdisp function. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
You have to go ahead with this configuration because this is what that displays data. This is the command that displays data. Just like in your command prompt, you write say cname, or you write say cd, or you write say ren. These are the commands for Windows. You have to write this. For C programming, you have to write printf. So all these are preset commands. So this part is preset for this LCD, and by executing these lines, you are actually asking the LCD to show the data some way which is described in this set of data byte. There are different set of data bytes here. 01 hex, 06 hex, 0cx. This is one sequence of data. This is another sequence of data. All these sequences tell the LCD to display the text in a particular manner, in different manners for different configurations. All these configurations are for specific type of display. Someone is scrolling, say the first one, this is the static flashing display. This one is for the scrolling display. This one is also for a static flashing display, and this one is for a blank display in the second line. And as far as I can remember, blank flashing display in the second line, and rest of the screen is blank, only they will be flashed in the second line. This is for that configuration. You will have all these bits in the manual of the LCD. So once this part is done, the LCD knows how to display the data, I mean in which fashion the data has to be displayed now. Then we switch to the, then we load the message first, which message needs to be displayed. First you have to configure the LCD in this portion, and then you have to make the message to display. First you are loading the message. See, message 3 is loaded here. Where is our message 3? Here. See, this is the location where I have stored some ASCII values for the message 3. This is the set of values. See, we are just sending within single quote, the ASCII values will be stored. ADC output now. That is the only thing that we need to show. So this is message 3. We are loading the message data pointer one by one. We will go on the bytes, and then we will call the display function. So here is our display function. We are again clearing the accumulator and taking the pointers. Right now the pointer is on message 3. You remember we have loaded message 3 here. MOV DPTR message 3 we have loaded. So right now our data pointer will have the first segment of the message 3 that is loaded to here. We have increased again the same fashion. We have increased data pointer. We are comparing the current value of accumulator with 0FF. As long as 0FF is not encountered, we are calling this function. This is data stream function. From the data stream function, we are calling data stream write function. The same fashion here, but see here the setting bytes have been changed. We are setting 1.0, that is RS. We are clearing 1.1, that is RW. We are again setting 1.2. So the change is here. See, in the last function, in the configuration function, we are clearing 1.0, clearing 1.1, setting 1.2. Here we are setting 1.0, clearing 1.1, setting 1.2. So this is the change. We are clearing 1.1 here, and that lets the LCD know that now we are going to supply the data, not the command. And we are waiting for 2 clock cycles and clearing this again. 1.2, that is the EN. And returning to this function. While returning to this function, we are calling the delay, and the delay has a specific LCD delay function that is governed by the value, current value of R3. We have put 03 in R3, and as long as R3 is counted, this delay will be repeated, and after this delay is complete, we will go back to the display. So this is the display part. I mean the data currently in accumulator will be pulled to port 2, will be pushed to port 2, and keeping the data in port 2, we will change the configuration bits in this way. We will change the command lines in this way so that the LCD displays the current data that is currently in port 2, displays the data of port 2 in its display. So this is the display set of subroutines. See, once again, we are calling this function from this function and this function from this function. Here is the calling lines. We are calling here, and from here we are calling through this, right? Only some comparisons are left. Once this this portion is done, then again we will get back to here and we will continue this as long as the data pointer fetches a 0FF hex. So 0FF hex is our checker bit. We can understand that well the string of data has been completed. I know this is a bit complex, but you will understand the thing once you just religiously go through the code by yourself. See, this is the checker bit here. With the data pointer will keep on checking one by one bytes like this. Then this, and continuing this, whenever that data pointer loads 0FF hex, here 0FF hex is loaded. As soon as it gets 0FF hex, it will go to return. I mean, where the display function was called. Here the display function was called from. Now this will display the specific output, ADC output now that we have fed through here. The message 3. Once this part is done, we will go to the second line configuration. This configuration will also display some another message, and then we will go to this message will be actually for the data to be displayed. So this program, what it will actually do here, the program that I have written for this circuit, what actually it will do, it will pull the data from here, the output of the ADC, it will just read the data from output of the ADC and show the corresponding data to the LCD screen, and also the same data will be displayed by this LED array. So what it does, after displaying the first message, the ADC output now message, it will go to the ADC function. Meanwhile, it will load the configuration to the LCD that the LCD needs to show the next data from its from the port.
Sir,
Sorry.
sir, will you skip? We are not getting anything.
Okay. So if you skip here, you have to read the code once again. Actually, I wanted you to read the code that I have given to you, so that you could have asked me that why this function is using. See, there are a lot of functions here. So you have to, be aware of each of the functions, each of the segments of the routines. Otherwise, you won't be able to write your own LCD code.
Okay, sir.
So what my suggestion will be, you guys go through this part, very essentially this part, this display service routine. I will give you this program. You will go through this part, display service subroutines, and you try to understand what these things are doing. You know all the these commands, right? You know all this ACALL, MOV, DPTR, everything, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So nothing is new here. I don't think anything is new here. All the commands you already know, just these things, and these are supplied from the vendor. So you are just making some program with your known language, and you are just making some data to be furnished in a port. That's it. So these 6 subroutines you learn by yourself, and if any problem you face, you can ask me. Now if we skip here, okay, I will just superficially go through the steps what we are doing. We will call the ADC function. The ADC function actually does the same thing with the ADC. It makes the RD high and WR low, then waits for 1 clock pulse, and then sets the WR pin to high. Low to high pulse makes the ADC count for the current reading. It waits for the time as long as the reading is not completed. You have learned about ADC, right? you know the basic steps how an analog data is converted?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You give a voltage to the ADC. ADC takes a reference voltage and increases the voltage by some value, and keeps on comparing the internal voltage with the voltage supplied, and as soon as the voltage gets equal, it puts the current output, right? So the same thing, the calculation part is done here. As soon as the calculation for the ADC is complete, this pin will get high. As soon as the calculation is complete, this pin will get low. This is the INTR bar pin. So that's why as soon as this goes low, this will go to the next part. So this whole subroutine actually fetches the current reading from ADC and puts the current reading to the accumulator as well as the same to port 0. What do we have in port 0? Tell me, what do we have in port 0?
LED is connected.
LED is
All the
connected,
LEDs,
sir.
all the LEDs are connected to port 0. So the current value that the ADC is giving to us will be displayed by the LEDs directly in port 0. Also, we will process the data for LCD. That is the second part. So we have called this function, and once this part is executed, we have the current reading in accumulator. We have the same reading in port 0 as well. Okay. So let's get back to where we have called this function here. So this line is executed, the function is executed. Now we are doing some simple hex conversion. We have 2 hex digits right now in our accumulator. Simple. Say the ADC output is 1C. Okay. Is this part clear? The ADC output is 1C. Say the ADC output is 1C. So in the accumulator, we have 1C. Right? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So in accumulator, we have 1C. We will just convert 1 and C to their corresponding ASCII value. Simple. All of you have gone through ASCII conversion, hexadecimal conversion in your microcontroller basic classes, right? In your practical as well, you have converted hex to ASCII, ASCII to hex, and vice versa, whatever. So this part actually does that thing. We are storing the value in someplace else for usage later. We are taking 10H to B. We are dividing it. This is a simple thing. Just our target is to convert 1C, convert the hexadecimal number 1C into 2 corresponding ASCII values of 1 and C. What is the ASCII value of 1? The ASCII value of 1 is 31, and for the ASCII value of C is, if I am not wrong, 41. 41 or 40, sorry, C is 43, I guess. Yeah. Let me see here. So this part actually just converts 1C into the ASCII values of 1 and C, and we just put that ASCII value to the display. First 1 will be displayed, and then after 1 C will be displayed. So this is the thing. This whole part of the program does that portion of the work. If you go through the program line by line, you will be able to understand. And here is a subroutine. We have the hex to ASCII subroutine that I have written over here. This is the hex to ASCII subroutine. We are just, see, we are comparing the data with 0A hex if the data is lower than 0A, that is hex 0A, if it's lower then it's digital, then we have just we need to just add 30 to it to get the ASCII, and if it is higher than A, then we have to add 41 to it to get the ASCII value. I think this part you have already done in your practicals, right?
Okay, sir.
Hex to
Yes.
ASCII conversion, you will see it in all the books. If you have the 8085, 8051 books, there are a lot of examples of ASCII, hex to ASCII conversions. The same thing I have done here.
Yes, sir.
I've
Yes,
just
sir.
converted the value to its corresponding ASCII bytes.
Yes, sir.
So one by one, the upper nibble and the lower nibble is converted. And these two parts is actually for the upper nibble and the lower nibble. This part is for the upper nibble and this part is for the lower nibble. You know nibble, right? Beat, nibble, byte. Hello?
Sir?
You know about nibble, beat, nibble and byte. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. When okay. Right.
Sorry, I can't hear you properly. Your voice is breaking.
Sir, I know about twinkle, beat, and bite.
I'm sorry, I still can't get the voice.
Sir, both are same thing.
What the same thing? Does it have a chat option here? Yeah, I guess. Okay. No, this chat will go to sir. Okay, let's do it here. Clear? So, if this is one 8-bit number, hello?
Yes, sir.
If this is one 8-bit number, this one is the higher nibble and this one is the lower nibble, right?
Yes, sir.
And the whole thing is a byte
Byte.
and this is a bit. Make it very clear. So this is for the higher nibble, conversion of the higher nibble, and this is for conversion of the lower nibble. That's it. So let's see what this program does. See, the first message is displayed. ADC output now, which was the first part of the source, and now it displays the current reading of the ADC. See here, I have told you that you have to inverse these readings. So this is the least significant bit and this is the most significant bit. I'm sorry, this is the least significant bit and this is the most significant bit, okay? You see here. So we have bit 2 to the power 0 and 2 to the power 1 as on, and all the rest of the bits are off. Okay, just inverting this thing. So what is our current reading here? The reading of ADC that is provided here, we see these two bits are on, DB0 and DB1. These two are on and rest of the bits are off. So that gives us here, if we write it down, that is 0000 0011, right? So this is 3. In hexadecimal, this is 3. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So this is the ADC value right now. And we can increase this. Let's increase this to 0.05 volt. Okay. The ADC output now is 10110000. This is 10110000. I'm sorry, this should be in a reverse order. Zero 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 1101. Fine. So this is the 0 that we have here in 0D, and this is the value for D, if I'm not wrong. So we are having a 2-digit hex display here, which is actually displaying the current reading of the ADC. Now, for each degree increase in temperature, we will have a discrete hex value from this ADC. Am I right? If you say increase the temperature from 5 to 6, see the value will get changed. It's 10 now. Am I clear, guys? You see here, it's like 0001 0000. So this is 10 in hex.
Yes, sir.
So for each degree change in temperature, we are getting a discrete value here. It's actually getting changing by 2 hexadecimal digits or something like that. It is 2.5 because we have 100 gradients and we have 255 values. So for each gradient, that there will be 2.55 degrees of increase in hex value. But here we are considering it as a full number, so we will just taking the integers. So for in a gross measurement, for each degree increase, we will have the value increased by 2. So for each degree of temperature, we will have this value and we will note down this value for each degree of temperature in a table. That is the calibration part for this thermometer. For every instrument, you have to make some calibration, right? If you are going to make any instrument, you have to do the calibration part. So here the calibration part is this. You have to prepare a data table for each degree of each degree Celsius of temperature. You have to get a new hex value and put it in that table. Now for your understanding, I have already created the table. I am stopping this program and loading the one that I have the linked table in. This is the program where I have, where I have figured out the table. For each degree of temperature, here each actually each byte here resembles from 0 to 99 degrees Celsius of temperature. Okay, here I have segmented it in a 10 by 25 sequence. You will see each line will have 10 values, 10 hex values. This is a lookup table, the simple lookup table. The compiler will just take the current hex value from the accumulator and count the corresponding reading value from here. This is the reading value that needs to be displayed over the display. So for each hex value, say the hex value is 5. So that will display the 5th value from here. You see, I have, that's why I have repeated the values, like 2, twice there are 2, twice there are 3. So this is simple. For 0, there will be 0 shift. For 1, there will be 1 shift. For 2 also there will be 1 shift, because the hex values will change by 2. Clear? Right, in the last program I have shown you, for each degree change in temperature, the hex values will jump by 2. So I am keeping gaps of 2 digits of each. Sometimes it's 3, for exactly it's not 2, it's 2.5. That also I told you. So this is basically the lookup table that you have created, that I have created from the readings. So you will not exactly get any specific function to create it. You have to create it by reading each of the values, right?
So
I think there is a problem. Yeah, I think there is a problem in understanding. Is it so? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Is there a problem in understanding? I mean, regarding this lookup table, there are simpler ways to let you know this thing. Let's start from here. Let's go to the older circuit we have here. This is the older circuit, this is the older code. Okay, we get the hex values. Let's drop down the temperature to 1. For 1 we have 0.3, right? For 1 degree Celsius we have hex value 0.3. Keep this in mind. Okay, now we are going here. For each degree increase in the temperature, we are getting 3 or 2 levels of increase in the hex reading. So for 1 we have 3 levels of increase. See here, in our 1, if the temperature is 1 degree Celsius, we are getting hex 3. So if we add the number 3 from the initial value, aren't we getting this one? This is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So for 3 we have 1. Similarly, if we increase it by 1 again, we will get the hex value 5. That again takes us here. If we count 5, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 2. So we had to put 2 here just to make the 5 display as 2, because the hex value is corresponding to the current temperature, but it's not exactly the temperature. It's a hex value corresponding to that. So we have to refer to a lookup table to get the correct temperature value from it. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
You have a hex value and you have to take out the corresponding temperature from that value. This is the give you the corresponding temperature. And so this is called the lookup table of the temperature. We are loading this lookup table from this part. Just a minute. Yeah. From this part, we are lookup table into data point again. Now, after calling the ADC function, we have the current hex reading in accumulator. So we will just add reading to the current value of data pointer so that it takes us to the place where the reading is stored. Say right now in data point, right now accumulator you have 03 hex. So we are just adding the 03 hex to data pointer. First data pointer was loaded with 800 hex and now we are adding 03 hex to it. So right now data pointer will have 803 hex. If this is 800 hex, then 803 hex will have this 000102. There is a mistake. There is a 1 data byte shift here. I had to put another 00 here. Anyway, that will again be one part of the making of the table. So just for this program, what we see, if we have in data pointer we have 0803 hex, it will load this part 02 hex here. That is actually deviating. You will see while I will run the simulation, you will see for 1 it will, whenever the temperature is 1, will actually show 2, because that is the mistake what done here. It has to be 00 hex, I mean 00 hex, 00 hex, 01 hex, then 01 hex again. So that it could have been 1. But anyway, let's just focus on the table itself. So for 0803 hex, we have this value right now loaded in data pointer and loaded in accumulator. So once this part is called, we have in accumulator we have this value 02 hex. Sorry. Yeah, in accumulator we have 03 hex, and now we are just pushing that 03 hex into a location just to save it for the time being. And then we are converting the same conversion function I have shown you in the last program. We are converting the same thing, but right now we need to change it from character to ASCII, because see this table, as we are showing 00 to 99, this table doesn't have any character right? See all numbers here. We do not have A, B, C, D, E, F. We only have numbers, right? Though these values are fed as hex, but these will actually been shown as binary, decimal. So we do not have any number here, do not have any character here. So that's why we don't need to separately convert characters into ASCIIs. We need to convert numbers into ASCIIs, and to convert numbers into ASCIIs, we just need T, right? See, we are just adding 13 to the numbers one by one. We are dividing this thing by 10 just to split the upper nibble and lower nibble. And once it's split, we are just adding this to 30 so that we get the corresponding ASCII number. Fine. Is this clear, guys? Is there anyone online? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So any confusion with at least this conversion part? We are converting some hexadecimal values, which are actually decimal values here because we do not have A to F. We are just converting some hexadecimal values into corresponding ASCII numbers. Is there any confusion? Guys, tell me yes or no.
Sir, we have understood. We will try this. After that, I will confirm you later.
Okay, that's also fine.
Okay,
So just to prime the things,
sir, please share these all programs.
yeah, I will share this program and also I will share the circuit with you so
Okay,
that
sir.
you guys can check it by yourself. And also I will show the simulation just for example here.
Okay. So, if we will face any problem in the next session, we will ask it.
Sure, not a problem.
Okay.
In between, you guys can also put the questions in the WhatsApp so that if I get a time, I can share the answers there because that saves some time in the class.
Yes.
See, we have just displayed some message first, some scrolling displays that I was talking about. And now we will display the temperature. You remember the mistake that I was talking about in the lookup table. In place of 1, where it would have been 1, we put it 0, we put it 2. So you will see if I see here, the temperature is 6, but it's showing 7. This is because we have shifted by 1 in the lookup table. Now let's get back this to 1. See, for 1 it's showing 2. Why it is showing 2? That's because in my source code 1 means 03. In the last circuit I have shown you, 1 means in hex it shows 03. Remember?
Yes, sir.
So that is the third location of the data pointer. So once data pointer is loaded here, the third location is 1, 2, 3. Sorry, the 03 means 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. And for 3 we have 2 here. So that is showing 2 degrees Celsius. So that is the bug in our lookup table. We just need to add one more 00 hex here that will fix it. But anyway, I am not doing it in this part. I will do it later and we'll share it again. For now, you take this as a learning point that this display is actually flawed by 1. I mean, for 1 you will see 2, for 2 you will see 3, and similarly for 99 you will see 100. Maybe you will see 100. I have not put 100 there. You will see 99. I'm sorry. Our range is stuck between 0 to 99. I didn't go for 100 because showing 100 again would have made one more loop to the ASCII conversion table.
Rajesh, I think
Yes,
9 o'clock is there. So
okay.
close it today. It can be done any other day.
Okay, sir, sure. So I will wrap up for today. And I don't think there is any more thing left. Just this part is to just 5 minutes, sir. Okay. This part
Sir.
is for showing the degree centigrade in symbols. DF is the ASCII code for degree, the circle on the uppercase, and 43 is for C, because 41 is for A, 42 is for B, and 43 is for C. So this is the ASCII part. We are sending for the line degree Celsius. That's it. Okay, so I will share this project with you, and you guys go through it, go through the program, go through the circuit, simulate it by yourself, and ask me questions. That's it for today. I will send the design file itself. Inside the design file, you will be able to find the code as well. Okay, so I will send this design file. Is that okay for you? You just click it, open it with Proteus, and the both the circuit and the assembly file will be there. Okay,
Okay, sir.
fine. So let's call it for today.
Okay. Good night. Good night to all.
Good night, sir. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good night,
you
sir.
said.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.